Well guys, I've done it. I got a 3DS capture card. Well, a mod on my 3DS that lets it capture footage without audio and lags occasionally, but let's not dwell on the negatives here. Because this means I can finally make a video on one of my favorite games of all time, Fire Emblem Fates. So, what challenge run are we doing today? Well, it's a good old Ironman run, meaning I can't reset the game at any time, and a game over means I lose the run. But I've decided to add two twists. First off, I'm not going to choose my character's pairings. Instead, I'm going to leave that task to our good friend, the Rainbow Sage, as his Hubba tester, essentially a built-in shipping machine in the vanilla game, does this for us. So, this turns this Iron Man into something I affectionately call a HubbaMan run. To amplify this, my second twist is that I'm using Chicken McNuggies' mod for the game that adds hundreds of support conversations, as well as allowing most characters to S-support with anyone. This should keep the number of different support options for each character open enough to keep this alive for dozens of attempts if needed. I'll be playing the Revelations route for this challenge to further add to the number of potential pairings. With that, let's jump into it. Part 1. The Failed Runs. I won't spend too much time on this, but I want to cover it. This run has basically been 5 seasons long, and though this video will focus on the 5th, I'll briefly go over the first 4. Season 1 of my Fire Emblem Revelations HubbaMan run went quite well until I reached Fuga's Wild Ride. There I lost Sakura and Azura, a painful loss that seemed to continually haunt me. I get through the snow map easily, then end up dying in Chapter 11 from trying to tank with the Dragonstone Corrin and overestimate her bulk. Season 2 of my Fire Emblem Revelations HubbaMan run has me losing Azura in Mozu's paralog, then trying to compensate by turning Mozu into an archer, using 11 sword magic Corrin to get far, reaching and clearing Chapter 22 of the game. However, I make a mistake by going for Ophelia's paralog after this map in an attempt to boost my team's strength. Instead, I get overwhelmed and slowly watch as my entire team is killed before my eyes. This ends attempt 2, leaving me with a paranoia of paralogs. Season 3 of my Fire Emblem Revelations HubbaMan run has my Corrin pairing up with Anna. I lose Azura in Chapter 7 this time, making me very sad. To make up for it, I use the Witch Seal on Corrin to give her an early game boost, and I'm able to Jagen through the early game with a Fire Tome for doubling, or a Nosferatu Tome for tanking. This run gets very far, and I discover the power of Silas with a Benny pair-up. Throw on an additional guard Naginata, and things are going perfectly, until I get surrounded by reinforcements and lose half my army. I push through the next level, losing Ryoma and almost getting soft-locked, but with the riskier Fire Tome I break free. Unfortunately, I prove unable to finish Anankos before he wipes my benchwarmers, and lose this run too. Season 4 of my Fire Emblem Revelations HubbaMan run has me trying to play with a male Corrin and Felicia instead of Jacob. This time Azura survives past the Ninja Forest, but perishes in an attempt to recruit Anna into our army. I run a hero Corrin this time, but he ends up somewhat underleveled. I slowly lose the War of Attrition in Vala, running out of units and eventually falling. And that catches you up. Now that you understand the struggles of keeping Azura alive, we can begin. Begin the shipping wars, that is. Part 2, Fives. In run 5 of this challenge, I named myself after Clone Trooper 5555 from Star Wars, and play as a female Corrin, as Jacob tends to be better than Felicia early in the game, and he and Kaze can, in theory, pair up quickly to give me 2 early child units. Chapter 7 goes smoothly and showcases Fives' build, which is a Defense Boon Luckbane build, with the subclass Fighter, though I instead reclass Fives to Dread Fighter immediately, arguably the best class in the game. I also give her the DLC Paragon ability, doubling her EXP gain, and a few para boots. This allows me to easily cruise through this chapter, as well as Chapter 8. I then head to Mozu's Paralog, turning her into Bozu and trying to feed my new units some EXP. I get them all to a decent level before Chapter 9 begins. Of course, that doesn't make Fuga's wild ride any less of a pain. The level starts off simply enough, but it doesn't take long for me to blunder Mozu and Dazura to the wind. And when trying to save them with the Dragon Vein, I instead make it even worse. I then have to burn a rescue staff to save Sakura while sending Fives to beat Fuga up. It's now a race to see if I can beat the boss and seize before the enemy manages to wipe my team. Tsubaki is picked off by an archer, and Sakura is quickly shanked as well. My frame rate dies next, with the game lagging exceptionally. Kaze gets boxed in and perishes, making my hopes for an early Midori Dwyer tag team turn to dust. Hana gets cornered and dies one turn before I manage to seize the throne, but Jacob lives, as does Rinka, who is paired up with Fives. These losses would be crippling if any of these characters were above B tier, and if I weren't playing Revelations, where you get loads of characters. Though, the fact that Azura died again is revolting. Chapter 10 is a farming level, and I try to take advantage of it. I make Hayato into a Dark Flyer and Gunter into a Ballistician, and am rewarded by getting Gunter killed almost immediately. I get Hayato some good XP before breaking into the boss arena early and getting him killed. In frustration, I blunder Jacob's life as well. To make up for these needless losses, I send Fives around the map, getting every stat booster the map has to offer. After 74 turns, my Paragon Fives has reached level 18. Chapter 11 gives me Takumi and his retainers to start, so my numbers are still quite large considering my vast casualty count. I buy a generic Shrine Maiden for this map, use her to rescue Saizo, then have Fives recruit him on turn 1. I then lose Saizo immediately, but now have Orochi and Reina on my team. Orochi is one of the most important characters in the entire game, since her ability lets her kidnap random enemies and let me recruit them later, giving a theoretically endless amount of disposable units. I promote her into a Dark Flyer and kidnap a few people from the local ninja convention, including a healer who will help us later. After leveling up Fives into the 20s, I reclass her into the Hero class to gain HP plus 5 and Soul. The ninja boss goes down and we move on. Chapter 12 has a start on 4 different boats, though with pair up that quickly becomes 2 different boats. I send Reina in gambling on hitting an 80% hit, 90.1 in true hit, and she misses, letting an archer pick her off, and Orochi, who is paired up with her, goes down as well. Hinata is hit twice and dies, while Kagero holds on with a few spare HP points. One of my generic Shrine Maidens dies as well, a more impactful loss than Hinata could dream of becoming. The ice forms, and I slowly begin crossing over to the right side of the map. I try and feed Kagero, Oboro, and Takumi kills, and decide to reclass Kagero into my second Dread Fighter. I promote Rinka so she can become a better stat backpack, then bait Camilla with the shield gauge unit, and have Takumi finish her off. I then harvest all of Flora's friends for XP, and finish her off easily. Chapter 13 has me reclassing Fives back into a Dread Fighter, and after some shopping I head to quickly recruit Lucina from her Amiibo chapter. I low-man this level, having Fives and a Camilla backpack solo it. I stay out of Lucina's range until I have a shield gauge built up, and win easily. With her added to my team, I have 11 units, only one short of the deployment limit on this map. What's more, none of my units are severely underleveled, so even though my casualty rate has been through the roof so far, the early game matters so little that this run still has all the potential it needs. I head through the left path, focusing on leveling up Veruca, Selena, and Keaton, hoping to bring them all deep into this run. I use my overleveled 5s to beat Xander for some XP, then do the same to Ryoma and Scarlet, and once my quota is sufficiently met, I end the chapter with 5s at level 27. Chapter 14 has me trying to level up with Effie, since she and Camilla are destined together, and Camilla is one of the best units in the game. The defense boost of General Effie could greatly help her later on as well. Of course, she is too slow and a random output doubles and kills her before she gains a single level. At least Selena got some good XP with her Armor Slayer. 5s decimates half the map while the rest of my team deals with the other half. Minori also levels up. Nice. The map is completed easily, giving me 5 new shiny units, including Silas, the only one who starts at a decent level. Chapter 15 has Nyx join us, and I try to train her up only to realize just how bad of a unit she is. Shura also joins us, being a solid combat unit with access to lockpick and staves, giving him invaluable utility. I rush in each room, swarming enemies before they can counterattack in any meaningful way, get several levels. Silas reaches promotion level and the chapter ends easily. Next up, I attend the Anna prayer log. This is me reclassing Nyx to an outlaw, hoping the class will help her be more useful. This doesn't work. Despite a close call, I beat the map with no casualties. Chapter 16 has me finally master stealing Silas, and has the last of the Hoshidans joining us. I use Setsuna, Zama, and Scarlet to take all the risks, as their lives will be mostly useless after this chapter. Especially Scarlet's. She dies to bail out an adventurer, and I manage to get Nyx her first level. Hans goes down to some close range attacks, and I'm forced into Chapter 17 immediately. I head to the right to reunite with the Norian units when they join. I have Niles kidnap a paladin, and then he's immediately killed. Kagero nearly dies, but a lucky miss saves her. I have 5s head south to wipe out the majority of the enemies while sending my other soldiers to gain some XP from those in the middle and west. 5s and Silas and Diago, and we clear the map with a single casualty. Next, I do several hero battles and Invasion 1, trying to build support points so I can recruit child characters before the paralogs become too high level. I get Keaton and Rinka enough support that they disappear into a dragon realm for a week and come back with a small child. The Laurier's paralog is extremely difficult if you use lots of magical units, but since 5s and Ryoma both use melee weapons, we are able to render the magic enemies worthless while we clean up the faceless monsters. I then send Kagero in, and have 5s reach Valoria before she is hunted down and killed, and I'm able to beat the chapter scot-free. Chapter 18 is a slog of a chapter, and I turtle my way through the entire thing. 5s is able to choke at all the points, and Kagero and Ryoma can take out most of the enemies, with the others pitching in to help. I clear everyone out with ease, and move on to Ryoma's son's paralog. This goes as usual, with Shiro dying before I can reach him, but at least I get some XP from the encounter. I also do the Kana paralog, where Valoria reaches level 5, getting better odds. One of the best skills in the game. Unfortunately, Selena's strength stat has really fallen off, and she becomes less and less relevant. Chapter 19 is the Mirror Illusion map, which is an easy clear if you take the Coward's route, but if you are bold enough to use the Duplication Stone, you can get loads of loot, some of which is useful equipment, and some is good for selling. I go for the loot and manage to get through without losing anyone. The longest streak I've had of not losing anyone in Vala. The trend continues into Chapter 20, where Camilla is able to use her new bolt axe to great effect on several armored units. Veruca is able to make great use of the hammer, and I gain the legendary water wheel, whose primary purpose is being sold for 5,000 gold. I send 5s and the team to the top right in an attempt to get more stuff and leave Valoria to defeat the boss. I get the Wakizashi and end the map. Chapter 21 is the map where you can fight either unpromoted units or promoted hunks, depending on where you fight them. I try to avoid fighting the promoted units since the XP stays the exact same. Fives is now level 34, an impressive level for this point in the game, especially considering that my other units are doing pretty well. I kill the Faceless, who's named Anthony for some reason, and Fuga joins my team at the end of the chapter, after seeing that my Hot Springs has been upgraded enough to benefit his abs. Chapter 22 has me finally promoting Elise into a strategist, and I venture into the woods. This chapter is simple if you stick to the top path, which I do, since the only reward worth getting, Excalibur, is in the top right chest. Keaton gets scarily low, but lives, and I end it with another deathless clear. I buy loads of tonics before starting chapter 23, and hit in with my usual team. I sweep through the map, keeping my party healed up as I go. Elise even gets kill credit with a follow-up attack from Gloria, then gets one of her own. Fives gets the Aggressor ability, giving her free damage when she attacks. Another smooth chapter. Chapter 24 has me reclassing Xander into the hero class, since he and Fives got married. Then I go to introduce my new family to my mom's ghost. This is supposed to be a stealth mission, but I don't know how it works, so I just play it like a normal route map. Nothing particularly noteworthy happens until the very last room, where I get the Spy Shuriken. If I had a ninja, this would be very helpful, but since I don't, it's just more pocket change. Chapter 25 has Camilla and Selena available for an escort, but since the Hubba says no to the romance, they instead have to stay friends with stat benefits. The elevator map is tedious as usual, but a bit fun. I go to each of the rooms, taking out the guards and breaking some chains that are there for some reason. I don't know, man. I also lose Perry here, so I almost feel relieved that Vala has finally taken someone from me. I was starting to worry that I was just bad during my past 4 runs of the game. The rest of the enemies go down the garbage disposal up until Sumeragi. Xander weakens him, then I try to have Selena finish him, but I forget to check his abilities and Sumeragi kills her with advantage. Fives avenges her, but I'm still pretty sad that one of my favorite characters is gone again. Chapter 26 is the beginning of the end. Gunter reveals himself to really be the big bad evil guy in Onkos, and summons an army of minions to try and stop us. I have Fives rush up as my other soldiers fight off the local enemies. Benny is killed, then Elise is next. Ryoma and Xander wombo combo Gunter before anyone else falls, and we move on to the finale. Chapter 27 starts with me selling loads of weapons to buy a few iron-hard, disposable copies of my current units. I buy a Ryoma, Camilla, and Fives clone, then overdose on tonics. Now it's dragon killing time. I send my units up north, trying to rush an on-ghost before I face too many threats. An enemy phase, clone Ryoma, clone Camilla, Fuga, real Camilla, and Silas all fall. But I have enough firepower to finish off the Stony and Nankos. Now onto the true final fight. The battle starts with me attacking the enemy forces. Valoria takes a lot of damage, so I send Felicia in to heal her, which costs her life. Conrad, my generic paladin, who I traded for Niles, also dies here. A tragedy, but their sacrifices get me close enough to start chipping away at Anankos' arms. Keaton dies next, but his daughter lives on to avenge him. Anankos' face is now open to attacks, and I move in to pounce. With my clone's aid, I'm able to bring him down to half HP. Flora doesn't survive enemy phase, but I press on. I beat the head's first phase, bringing Anankos down to a simple orb of anger. My clone throws a loaf of bread at the orb, and Kagero and Oboro tie together as Anankos reaches his last few HP. I let Valoria finish off the dragon with a punch to the Dragon Ball Z. With one handshake of power, Fate's Landia achieves world peace. The Fire Emblem Revelations HubbaMan run is completed. 5th time's the charm, baby! I had a blast with this challenge, partially because FE Fates is probably my favorite game of all time. Plan on doing other Fates challenges on the channel later on, probably an Ironman of sorts for Conquest, and maybe something different for Birthright, we'll see. With that, I want to give you a massive high five for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let the YouTube robots know by liking and subscribing. I'm trying to escape the tiny new YouTuber phase, so any support would be appreciated. If you're interested in watching the full video of my run, I've uploaded a ×2 speed version of all my failed attempts up on the channel in a playlist, so check it out if you're interested. Thank you all again for watching, and adios for now.